addition of new maintenance shelters, taxi ramps, taxiway extensions, and other upgrades. Now, since then, it's been relatively common to see American aircraft flying into and out of Larissa, and while it's possible that RQ-180s may have operated out of this facility under the cover of darkness in the past, no one has ever spotted one operating in clear daylight before. Now, as I mentioned at the top, this aircraft spotted over Greece is very clearly not a B-2 Spirit based on the shape of the trailing edge alone. It isn't a B-21, which is still in testing, nor is it Lockheed Martin's stealthy and secretive ISR aircraft, the RQ-170, which has a more notable cranked kite wing layout. Now that narrows it down to being one of two highly secretive flying wings that we know about, either Northrop Grumman's RQ-180 or the Israeli military's similarly secret stealth drone known as the RA-01. However, as Joseph Trevithick has pointed out for the Warzone, the RA-01 is known to be a much smaller aircraft than we see here, and as David Sensiati pointed out in his past coverage of the RA-01 for The Aviationist, Israel's drone boasts a similar overall plane form to sightings of the RQ-180, but has a slightly different angle in the taper of its wings and fuselage. In other words, this sharp-angled, single-point trailing edge flying wing does indeed seem to be none other than Uncle Sam's secret spy plane. And while I probably wouldn't testify to that under oath, I would be willing to bet my lunch money on it. So that leads us to our next question. What might this aircraft be doing over Larissa, Greece, more than 4,600 miles from American shores and some 1,300 miles from the fighting in Iran? Well, despite the distance between Greece and Iran, it is entirely likely that these large, uncrewed aircraft have been operating out of secure airbases in Europe and the Middle East in support of Operation Epic Fury, or America's air offensive against Iran. In fact, RQ-180s could even have been operating inside Iranian airspace well before the fighting began, mapping air defense assets, tracking missile launchers, and collecting intelligence that helped American planners determine basic patterns of life for high-value targets. Now, once the fighting began, RQ-180s could then directly enable the suppression and destruction of enemy air defenses and other strike operations from its stealthy roost high above the fray, spotting targets and creating precise maps of identified Iranian air defense capabilities and their known targeting envelopes to enable mission planning for stealth and non-stealth aircraft alike. But in even more advanced roles, RQ-180s operating over Iran could soak up visual and signal intelligence to be fed directly into the Maven Smart system, often referred to simply as Maven, which is Palantir's artificial intelligence-enabled joint all-domain command and control system. Now, Project Maven is a massive topic that really deserves a video of its own, but in broad strokes, Maven soaks up data from a long list of different satellite, aircraft, and surface-based sensors, and then fuses it all together to support combat operations in three distinct ways. The first is battle space management, which uses real-time collaborative mapping, fusing data from multiple sources to create a god's eye view of the battle space with the most up-to-date information for things like mission planning and the like. The second way Maven supports combat ops is more direct, with its joint targeting and fires capability. As Maven sifts through mountains of data, it identifies potential targets and nominates them, as the Pentagon puts it, for engagement. Now, users can then turn to a Maven tool called the AI Asset Tasking Recommender, which can even propose appropriate weapon systems for the strike based on asset proximity, availability, and other factors. And once a target is confirmed, combat taskers can be disseminated quickly and easily, effectively opening and closing kill chains in a matter of minutes. In effect, Maven does not make kill decisions, but it can make those decisions as simple as the click of a mouse, automating all of the traditional labor associated with finding, fixing, tracking, targeting, and even assessing the efficacy of a strike after the fact. 5 of the 6 common steps associated with opening and closing a kill chain, leaving out just the strike itself. And the third way Maven supports combat operations in places like Iran is with automated object and pattern detection. Pulling from broad area surveillance and targeting data, Maven can analyze the behavior patterns of individual people all the way up to large combat formations and everything in between, and then notify users when targets appear or certain behaviors are identified, and much more. Now, it has already been publicly disclosed that the United States has been using AI systems in support of operations over Iran, and Maven is already in operation across all major American combatant commands, including CENTCOM, or U.S. Central Command, which is overseeing Operation Epic Fury. And while Maven does pull data from satellites, orbital systems have distinct limitations. Broadly speaking, spy satellites orbit along very predictable flight paths, and they can't see everything everywhere all the time. A stealth aircraft that can loiter for extended durations, on the other hand, can stay over an area for hours at a time and be quickly diverted elsewhere if needed. And considering much lower-end platforms like MQ-9 Reapers, armed with the Gorgon Stair Increment 2 pod, can track practically all movement within roughly 100 square kilometers, that's about 62 miles, it stands to reason that a high-end asset like the RQ-180 could keep tabs on a much larger expanse of territory, feeding data into Maven for target identification, selection, and engagement. And while 1,300 miles is a long way removed from Iran, for an aircraft that was purpose-built for long-range extended duration operations, that distance wouldn't mean much. So, what do we actually know about the RQ-180? Well, we can't say for sure. It seems evident that the platform we've come to know as the RQ-180 matured out of the Joint Unmanned Combat Air Systems program that also produced Boeing's X-45 and Northrop Grumman's X-47, not to mention the subsequent X-47B that still makes the rounds online from time to time as a part of conspiratorial posts about very futuristic-looking drones already secretly being in operation. Now, based on reports, Northrop Grumman probably received the developmental contract for the RQ-180 in 2008, and low-rate initial production began in 2013. Now, unlike the ISR platforms that came to define the global war on terror, this aircraft was purpose-built to survive in the most hostile airspace on the planet, providing persistent intelligence in the face of rapidly advancing ground-based radar arrays and even airborne adversary combat air patrols. Now, in order to accomplish this feat, the RQ-180 was designed with a heavy emphasis on all-aspect stealth against radar arrays operating across a wide range of frequencies, potentially making it far more difficult to detect than the F-22, the F-35, and maybe even the B-2. Now, the RQ-180 is reportedly more than twice the size of Lockheed Martin's RQ-170, and as such, potentially has twice the fuel capacity for longer duration flights, with a reported wingspan of around 130 feet, making it similar, at least in wingspan, to a C-130 Hercules. Now, it has an arcing jet inlet on the top side of the aircraft to limit radar detectability from below, and a similar trailing edge to the B-21 Raider from the rear. Among some circles, it is widely believed that the RQ-180 is known to those operating it as the Great White Bat, or Shitaka, which is a reference to the movie Ace Ventura 2, When Nature Calls, and that is probably my wife's favorite aviation anecdote of all time. Now, according to reports, this aircraft saw testing over Area 51 between 2010 and 2014, with at least 7 RQ-180s in the hands of the Air Force by 2015. Then by 2017, it was all but certainly already in service, operating alongside fleets of RQ-4 Global Hawks and U-2 spy planes flown by the 9th Operations Group out of California's Beale Air Force Base, although another detachment of the same unit reportedly also operates RQ-180s out of Guam as well, which would provide the U.S. with a strategically invaluable proving ground for long-duration ISR flights over the open ocean, where they're also a lot less likely to be spotted. Now, According to the reporting of David Axe for Key Arrow, the Air Force has conducted several training exercises operating the RQ-180 in direct conjunction with the B-2 Spirit, likely serving as a proof of concept for future operations that will see direct cooperation between these secretive ISR aircraft and the forthcoming B-21, which is also meant to serve in an ISR capacity as a secondary role, a capability almost certainly matured within the RQ-180 effort itself. Now, the first sighting of the RQ-180 by the public seems to have taken place in November of 2020, when one was spotted flying over the Mojave Desert in California, not far from Edwards Air Force Base. Now, some have contended that this sighting may have actually been Lockheed Martin's Polecat, an experimental aircraft with a similar overall plane form, but the Polecat program ended in 2006. Then, on September 2nd of 2021, landscape photographer Michael Fugnet spotted an unusual-looking aircraft flying high above him in Santa Magdalena, Philippines. Now, thinking fast, he grabbed his camera and snapped a single photo that was later published by the War Zone of a cranked kite planeform aircraft screaming across the sky above the Pacific. And a bit over a month later, what appears to be the same type of aircraft was spotted again, this time in the sky above the Nevada dry lake bed that we commonly know as Area 51. The image was then published by a popular website dedicated to keeping tabs on that classified facility, dreamlandresort.com, accompanied with a caption that read, and I quote, "A friend who wishes to remain anonymous and I were at the Groom Lake Road Gate yesterday. I heard a faint aircraft noise and noticed a contrail straight above us. Inside the Area 51 restricted airspace heading roughly south-southwest. Through my IS, or image-stabilized binoculars, I first thought I was looking at a B-2 until I realized it had a pointed tail. The B-2 has a serrated tail." Now, in all three instances, this highly secretive aircraft was photographed during daylight hours, which may explain its unusually light-colored paint scheme. Like the B-21 Raider, which also boasts a light shade of gray rather than the B-2's flat black, this suggests these platforms are designed to operate at all hours of the day and not strictly under the cover of darkness like the B-2. Now, the RQ-180 spotted over Greece this week, however, does appear to be painted in a darker color scheme, though it's also possible that it might just look that way because of lighting. Now, on November 8th of 2021, the Air Force Profession of Arms Center for Excellence may have actually given us a rendered glimpse of this aircraft when they posted a now pretty infamous video called Heritage Today, ISR and Innovation. Now, we've discussed this very same video before because it also includes a split-second peek at another high-altitude ISR platform in development, Lockheed Martin's hypersonic SR-72. But a few seconds before that clip, the video also shows a rendered image of an aircraft that bears that same crank kite planeform as the RQ-180 photos, as the narrator explains that biplanes have since been replaced by white bats. But the images and video captured over Greek this week represent the best real images of this platform that any of us may have seen so far, and its apparent use against Iran serves as a pretty important reminder of a couple of things. The first is that the United States is still pretty darn good at keeping secrets about its most classified aircraft, considering we've still yet to see close-up photographs of the RQ-180, the Army Stealth Black Hawk helicopters, or any of the three technology demonstrators known to fly as a part of the Next Generation Air Dominance 6th Generation fighter program. All of these platforms have been logging flight hours for north of a decade now, and none of us know what they look like. Then the second is that artificial intelligence is already changing the way wars are fought, and the insight that America gleans from its operational use in both Venezuela and in Iran, likely at this point it seems supported by the RQ-180, is sure to inform further improvements to AI-enabled warfighting capabilities. And while a lot of us may not see that as a particularly good thing for humanity at large, it is important to remember that China is investing huge amounts of money into its own AI warfighting apparatus, and losing the AI race to the People's Liberation Army could represent a genuinely existential threat to the American defense apparatus. That is to say that you might be worried about the threat that AI itself poses to humanity, but I am much more concerned about AI systems that work exactly as they were intended in the hands of those who mean us harm. And with that ends this short-fused edition of Air Power from Sandbox News. And before I go, I have huge news to tell you. Sandbox News has just launched its own app that you can download for free right now to gain access to not just all of our long-form and short-form video content, but also all of the incredible written content produced by my team of professional journalists, special operations and intelligence veterans, and a whole lot more. Check out Sandbox News for iOS right now. The Android version will be coming very soon. And once you do, make sure to come back and let me know what you think of it in the comments, because I am very open to feedback and how we can continue to improve this app for the audience. I am really excited to hear what you guys think. So now we'll get back to the closing. I'm Alex Hollings, and make sure you swing by sandboxnews.com today and every day for all the latest in news, entertainment, and merch from all around the force. In fact, use the app too. If you got anything out of today's video, make sure to click like and subscribe down below, and leave me a comment so I know what I should cover next. And of course, don't forget to tap on that bell icon so you never miss a drop from Sandbox News.
Sail away, sail Добрый вечер.